both Framber Valdez and Justin Verlander seem to be, they seem to have righted the ship. Also, just by the way, Kendall Graveman has been just what the doctor had ordered for this bullpen as well. Dana Brown's trade deadline moves look even better to me right now. And if you look at the litmus in the division, it is Seattle. So I guess the real question is, does Houston have enough pitching to hang with a team like Seattle?
Well, we need to grade on a curve a little bit, right? The Tigers' offense, the only two worse are Kansas City and Oakland, two joke teams of the sport. But Verlander now has been strong 2 starts in a row. The command, not awesome, but the results just fine. So he's not 2022 Justin Verlander. Well, under 1% of pitchers in the history of the game have been that guy. Framber, I'm curious. Again, it was against the Tigers, right? Over his last 10 starts, basically he's been crappy in 8 of them. He no-hit the Guardians. The only offense is worse than the Guardians, the Royals, the A's, and the Tigers. Then he throws the 7 no-hit against the Tigers. The rubber will hit the road a little bit Wednesday night at Fenway. The Red Sox have a good offense. I really want to see what Framber does against the team in kind of desperation mode. Framber, I think the start of his career, right? No-hitters historic. But Game 5 at Fenway in 2021, right? Framber was a disaster that entire postseason except for that start in Fenway where he was great. Over 8 innings, the Astros took the 3-2 series lead the day after the Jason Castro game. Should have been called out on strikes in the 9th inning. Wasn't. Go ahead, hit. They scored 7 runs with 2 out in the 9th to tie the series. Then Framber was money in Game 5. Astros come home and clinch in Game 6. A reasonable facsimile of that Framber Wednesday night, then I'll believe that he's back. But if he goes out and needs 100 pitches to get through 5 innings or doesn't get out of the 4th inning, then it's uh-oh mode.
Framber, kind of what Charlie pointed out, I don't want him getting out of the game too early. As good as he was against the Tigers, he had 5 walks. I mean, that's a lot. So if you're walking 5 guys, then you get into that Javier kind of scenario where you're lucky to get through 5 innings, which can be tough. As far as JV, I'm loving what I'm seeing, especially the 2 starts ago. I thought he was fantastic. You're also seeing the strikeouts coming way up for Verlander, well more than per inning he's pitching. So I think I'm feeling as good as I can feel about JV right now at this point in the season. So I'm happy about that. If they have those 2 hammers at the top of the rotation with Framber and Justin, I think we're in a really good spot. We'll see who steps up here in the next couple of weeks to be the number 3 and number 4 starters, assuming they make the playoffs.
And every game is massive, obviously, when you're in 2 close races, division and wild card, inside 30 games to go. So the Red Sox series is huge. Right? The Yankees are dead in the water, but that series is huge. But that Rangers series looming next week. And interesting with the off day Thursday, right? I'm not wild about framing the rotation for Justin Verlander to go on 4 days rest every time possible the rest of the year. That said, the way they have it lined up for the Red Sox, Verlander, after the off day on 4 days rest, I presume starts Friday night against the Yankees. He better start Friday night against the Yankees because Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days rest after that, Verlander, the series finale in Arlington against the Rangers, which could decide that tiebreaker, could be deciding first place, could be big for wild card position. Well, certainly will be at least big for wild card positioning. I do want to make sure Verlander's starting one of those games in Arlington.
There was a lot of gnashing of teeth after the Ryan Presley blown save against the Tigers in the series opener. You mentioned the Rangers bullpen being just poor. Aroldis Chapman, stat I saw, ERA under 1 when it's a non-save situation, over 4 in save situations. Contrast that with what the Astros were able to get in Kendall Graveman. Granted, obviously not in the same kind of high leverage situations, but every bit as important in patching kind of what they lost. And what they lost was a reliable Montero. Montero's kind of come back a little bit in sorts. Is Graveman enough of a patchwork in the bullpen to kind of fix what ails them?
Well, I think overall the bullpen's fine. Presley was untouchable for a month, but overall he's a pretty average closer this year. 28 saves, blowing 5. There's nothing special about that. But he's a good closer. Unless he was to go 2017 Ken Giles, there's no way Presley's going to get demoted from the closer role. So behind him, Brian Abreu's been excellent. Hector Neris overall has been excellent. So once you get down to your 4th and 5th relievers, Graveman, I think, is that number 4 guy. Stanek's been better recently, but I think is still lower in the pecking order. Right, Montero you bring in when you're up 10-1 or down 1, and you need an inning or 2 eaten, or you're running out of pitchers because you're in an extra inning game. So, Montero is the 6th reliever. But overall, this is still a good bullpen. Rangers, right? Bruce Bochy's dealing with a nightmare there. You alluded to Chapman. Will Smith has been very shaky in recent weeks. The Rangers starting rotation has a better ERA for this season than the Astros starting rotation. Right? Soak that in. Jordan Montgomery's been spectacular since going over there. Scherzer's been pretty good since going over there. But the Rangers bullpen, along with their clutch hitting, was unsustainable. Somewhere before the All-Star break, as a team, they were hitting .335 with runners in scoring position. Well, now they're down with the mere mortals. Still pretty good at .280. But the Astros now, 5th best batting average in Major League Baseball with runners in scoring position, 2nd best with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. You either come through or the inning's over unless there's an error or something in there. That Rangers bullpen in the end probably makes them the 3rd choice in the American League West, which has them fighting with the Blue Jays for that wild card spot. No guarantees on that, but as we take the snapshot, at least with a month to go, that's how it frames to me.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about Presley, Charlie, because I did my fantasy football draft with all my high school buddies, and one of my friends, he was a college pitcher, so he knows baseball. He was like, Ryan Presley's terrible. He was just railing on him for it. And to be fair, it was that night that he gave up the lead. And his ERA went from being in the 2s to being in the 3s after that one appearance. So a lot can shift there. And he's not a true dominant closer, somebody with a 1 ERA, but a closer in the 2s with his playoff pedigree. I'm not worried about Presley. I don't think that's why it's not going to work out for the Astros this year. And yeah, we still love Abreu and Neris, and we did a video on Graveman the other day. I think Graveman was exactly what they needed, and I made the point in the video that they didn't go get Graveman unless Montero was so terrible that they felt they had to go get Graveman to get one more pitcher that Dusty could trust in the bullpen. And I don't think that deal gets done without them talking to Dusty, because Dusty managed him a couple of years ago. So I don't think Dana Brown makes that deal unless Dusty was like, yeah, go get me Graveman.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
And another episode of Stone Cold Stros is in the books. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast. And remember, next week, no podcast on Monday. It'll be Wednesday night following the series with the Rangers. Thanks to Jack Brain for producing the show. And thanks to everyone for listening. Until next time, go Stros.